From the CyberHub bunker and studio, you're tuning in to the CyberHub podcast. And now for your host and CISO, James Azar.
Good morning, everyone. Happy Monday, July 12th, 2021. We are ready for our practitioner brief today. I hope you had a wonderful, amazing, relaxing, enjoyable, fascinating, off of work, less cyber, more family, more friends, more fun kind of weekend. But we're back at it. It's a new week, which means over the weekend, a lot of cybersecurity developments, a lot of things we got to be paying attention to today as we kick off this week. And it's a first long week. Last week for a lot of us here in the States was a short week. We had the 4th of July on Monday. It was great. It was wonderful. It was magnificent. But now we're back to a normal week. We'll get to your comments here before we get started. So good morning from a LinkedIn user. Good morning to Hashil, Daniel. Top of the morning to you, Nathan. Good morning to the awesome James McQuiggan. And man, Paul Cummings, good morning. We're going to get right into this one with this story here in just a moment, folks. And good afternoon to Ola, who's also joining us on YouTube. Thank you for everyone tuning in. Today's show would not be possible without our friends over at KnowBeforeListic and Ativo Network. So go and check them out. You can see more about them in the show notes. Every story on today's show is linked in the cliff notes of the show or in the actual post itself if you're watching us on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. If you have not subscribed to the CyberHub podcast on your favorite podcast listening platform, please do so now. You can go and also check out our CISO Talk podcast last week. Kevin Gowan, the CISO over at Synovus, joined me for an unbelievable episode, so go and check that out. Good morning to JM on Facebook, and good morning to Roger. Yes, we are victimizing engineers, but before we get into that and what Lazarus Group is trying to do, a toast for my favorite part of the show, my cup of coffee. A double espresso. By the way, so found something very interesting on Friday. Went to Trader Joe's, because again, my wife flowers every Friday. And they had Nespresso capsules, Trader Joe style. So this is what I'm drinking this morning. It's Nespresso. It's probably around the same price you would get like Pete's Coffee at Costco, which is really, really good, but it's not too shabby. So here we go. All right. And good morning to Heather, who needs to start signing my LinkedIn comments due to my privacy settings. No, I just didn't see you the first time around. It just didn't pop on the screen. And coffee cup cheers. Forza Italy. That beat England yesterday, by the way, folks. In the Euro. And Italy reigns supreme until the next tournament and the World Cup next year. Here we go, folks. So Lazarus is targeting job-seeking engineers with malicious documents. This story is something we've been talking about for quite some time, which is the idea of targeting job seekers with work from big companies. Well, now we know that the APT is trying to impersonate Airbus, GM, and Boeing and Rheinstahl to lure potential victims into downloading malware. The advanced APT group has been identified as the cyber gang behind a campaign spreading malicious documents to job-seeking engineers. The ploy involves impersonating defense contractors, seeking job candidates. Researchers have been tracking the Lazarus Group activity for months. This, according to an AT&T Alien Lab report. Attached to the emails are Windows documents containing macro-based malware, which have been developed and improved during the course of the campaign and from one target to another, according to Martinez. This campaign is just the latest by Lazarus that targets the defense industry. In February, researchers linked the 2020 spear phishing campaign to the APT that aimed at stealing critical data from defense companies to leveraging an advanced malware called Threat Needle. The expanded campaign here targets engineers with fake job opportunities from Boeing and BAE Systems. They were alerted to the new campaign when a Twitter user identified several documents from May to June of this year that were linked to Lazarus Group using Rheinmetall, GM, and Airbus as lures. Specifically, these malicious documents were job requirements ones, or GM cars identified by another Twitter user, or Airbus job opportunities confidential. The campaign used these specific targets, these specific campaigns, in order to target engineers in what is likely a open-end OSINT operation by Lazarus Group. Attribution's a little bit tougher on this one, folks. Lazarus, while it operates within North Korea, and it's a North Korean APT, has very, very strong ties to China. And this could be one of those side jobs that they take on behalf of someone else in order to fund their day-to-day operation, while ransomware is where they make their money. So keep an eye out for that. Good morning to Igor, who's joining us as well. And Paul is sharing the link to the blog for here that you guys can see. And for those on LinkedIn, you guys can catch it there. If not, just go to our LinkedIn page and you can catch it there as well. Heather says threat intel is exhausting and it's not even my job. Yes, it is. Good morning to Matt Lee, who's also joining us this lovely Monday morning. Thank you for joining us here, good sir. We'll get to that. So keep your eyes out on Lazarus. It's an evolving tactics. It's risk. It's significant risk because if you're working on, if you're a defense contractor or if you're in aerospace or anything like that, this is kind of one of those where you go, what's the line by which I, as a practitioner, can really work with my engineers on? Because if they want to find another job, I can't tell them not to look for it. But this is significant because it's worth noting to engineers, because what they end up doing is they end up getting played on this one, and they end up giving a lot of information in fake interviews. So keep your eyes out on that, folks. Something very, very important to keep an eye out, especially if you're in a aerospace or defense industry. We'll move to our next story today. Microsoft Office users are warned on a new Malware-Protection bypass. So Word and Excel documents are being enlisted to disable Office macro warnings so that the Z-Loader banking malware can be downloaded onto the systems without security tools flagging it. The Z-Loader, which is a banking Trojan that's designed to steal credentials and other private information of users of targeted financial institutions. Primarily, Z-Loader targets banks, financial services companies, fintech organizations, or anyone within the financial sector on any level. What's very interesting here is what they're using is Word and Excel documents. And the macros, once you disable it, it actually overrides your EDR solution. So your EDR solution doesn't pick it up, doesn't recognize it's there. That's why having some sort of technology that identifies, Microsoft has this in their enterprise system, safe links, safe attachments. That's one thing to look for. But this one here is significant as well because it essentially disables the Excel macro warnings. It automatically gets the macros on, and then it downloads the malware and the payload onto the target device, and then it goes on and steals credentials. Paul asks, did they say what kind of variant it is? No, it's not. They have not, Paul. I believe it's in here somewhere. I didn't really focus on the malware itself and more focused on the idea of what they're doing with it. Simply because the way they're getting the malware in right here is the Z-Loader malware, but the tools that they're using could be taken across other phishing and malware campaigns to target other organizations beyond just the Z-Loader banking Trojan. Something to keep in mind here, which I think is significant indeed. CNA Insurance finally discloses more information on the ransomware attack after paying $40 million in ransom to regain control of data. The CNA says that the insurer revealed that the attackers had access to a system from March 5th to March 21st. That's 16 days. And that immediately after discovering the incident, it took steps to contain it and launched an investigation. During the 2-week period, they had access to CNA systems. The attackers accessed and copied a limited amount of information. However, CNA was able to quickly recover that information, and there was no indication that the data was viewed, retained, or shared. Therefore, no reason to suspect your information has or will be misused. I loved how after paying $40 million to these threat actors. They say, you've got nothing to worry about. We don't know what they looked at. We don't, they were in our system for 16 days, but, they really got very little information. I don't believe that's worth nothing. Tell you why. The amount of malware attacks that are going on right now is absolutely stunning and unbelievable. The amount of ransomware that's going on right now, and a lot of it are CNA customers. Now, mind you, they're the largest underwriter, but it's not a coincidence that when a ransomware gang gets a hold of your system, they ask you for the exact same amount they know your insurance will cover. That's just one time it's a coincidence, two times an eerie coincidence, three times we're talking about manifest, fourth time it's a pattern. They've gotten data. They know it's successful. They know how it works. They understand the system, and that's what they're going after. And this is something that I've personally seen. So CNA here, I wanted to bring this to your attention, folks. Something to keep in mind. It's also a great talking point with executive leadership. Hey, who's our insurance underwriter? We should be vetting them like they vet us as well. We'll move on to this next one because this is an unbelievable way how threat actors are stealing credit card data. So Magecart, for those who don't know, is a kind of malware that steals credit card information from e-commerce websites. So as it takes over your, it plants a code on your payment page, steals the credit card data. The transaction still goes through everything else, but they've got that credit card data. So one way they're now obfuscating the malware code is one within common blocks, and then they're encoding stolen credit card data into images and other files hosted on the server, and then that's how they're taking that data out. So instead of just data packets coming out, you're seeing pictures come out, and you're not worried about it because if it's a picture of a cat, who cares? It's a picture of a cat, and we all love cats or dogs or whatever that is. This is this is a very, very interesting way to take and export data. And mind you, once we see it here once, other threat actors are going to look at it, explore it, and see if they can use it within their own framework of launching attacks. You're going to see this become even greater. That's why PCI 4.0, the new version of PCI that's about to come out that kind of everyone's been working on, is going to be critical because Magecart's been killing online e-commerce websites, killing them. It's been just, it's been a nightmare. We report on it at least once a month here on the show, and it's something to keep in mind. If you're running a store, if your business runs a online store, Magecart is one of the greatest concerns you should be having here. So keep that in mind. And by the way, that also goes to you when you're buying online. One key tip when you're buying online: use an online card, transfer a balance to it, buy there, and that's that. It's really one of the best ways you can to secure yourself against these types of attacks. Because if someone gets a prepaid card that got $20 on it, you're not worried about it as much as you would be if it was something else. So just keeping that in mind. Our final story of the day here, folks, and we will be ending, is Colorado becomes the latest state to pass a data privacy law. So the state of Colorado, the Sunshine State, 320 days of sunshine. I went to high school in Colorado, so lived there. Love Colorado. And Jared Polis used to be the current governor, used to be my congressman. So the Colorado Privacy Act is now law. I believe it goes into effect January 1st, if I'm not mistaken. But it gives a ton of rights to consumers. Another state with another privacy law, very CCPA, following California and Virginia. If you have not read the Colorado Consumer Privacy Law, you should definitely take a look at it and see how it impacts you from all aspects of your organization. So keeping that in mind. Folks, that's it for our practitioner brief today. You can catch all the stories and all the links right there. Please make sure to subscribe. We'll get to some final comments here by Paul. In open aside in desktop mode on your phone, you want to see the full link. Yes, you do. You always want to see the full link. Talking about the previous story with Magecart hackers. If you're paying or buying anything through the phone, don't just go into the landing page by default. Open it on a browser and see the full link. Make sure it's HTTPS, all that good stuff. But with that being said, folks, we are all wrapped up for today. I'll be back again here tomorrow, 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, with the latest in the Practitioner Brief, Risk, Impact, and Mitigation. Please make sure to subscribe, sign up, share today's show. Thank you for everyone for tuning in. Thank you for all your comments and questions. Thank you for all your feedback. Back until then, Have a great rest of your day and stay cyber safe. Cheers.
We love feedback, so make sure to connect with us on social media and subscribe to our podcast on your favorite podcast listening platform.